All right, everyone. We are here with some waterfowl boys today. Let's go around. Let's go left to right here. So we got Fisher Nance, Alex Lupton, Matthew Lewis, as well as Benny Boy, Benjamin Johnson. Benjamin is what we like to refer to him as around here. I don't know if you guys know that or not. And we're a little unique today, guys. We got 5 of us, so we couldn't necessarily fit in the studio today. Ben and I were tossing around the idea where we wanted to be like all week. And I said, hey, man, we got this new Marine coming across the way here. We're at the Hebron store. Let's go hang out on some really lush, plush boats, if you will. So we're hanging out on a brand new Bentley, 2023 Bentley.
A little more room than the podcast studio.
A little bit more room, a little bit more comfortable. Everyone's chilling. So, boys, how are we today?
Great.
Doing great.
Good.
Yep.
Sweet.
Appreciate you guys having us on here.
Yeah, man. So, let's see how this all this got kicked off. I think probably start with you, Alex, right?
Yeah. I think I originally reached out to you guys to be a pro staff.
Yes.
And I didn't think that I would get on, and then you finally reached out to me, and I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, and I believe you had not a relationship, but you knew Bree, I believe, right? From in some regard.
Right. I've ran into her a couple times, and we talked a little bit, but I didn't really personally know her.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and of course you and Fish both are just masters behind the camera too, and at that time, I think Ben, you can attest to. I think we were trying to get into the waterfowl game. We've always had waterfowl stuff here, but we've never been like that destination.
It's limited what we have.
Yeah, and so we were like, let's get some more waterfowl content on. It's not something that's super popular here in Central Ohio just because it's, whitetail country. But, so yeah, I think that's why we were like, well, let's go ahead and get Alex on. And then you guys kind of started seeing some of the fish stuff. And then Matthew, we go way back. I don't know if you want to swap that over to him. Yeah, so we're on limited mics today, so there might be some switching back and forth, so I apologize for that. And then Matthew and I go way back. So how did you went to school with my brother, right? Or you guys graduated around the same time. I think you played ball together, right?
Yeah, we played baseball against each other.
Yeah.
This mic sounds incredible, by the way.
It's way different when you take them off.
For sure.
I feel official now. But,
you
played
your
brother JT, right?
Yep.
North Newark Little League. Taco in the bag.
Oh, yeah.
Man, that was the living, wasn't it? I was a Mountain City guy. I never got blessed to go play at North Newark, but then my dad became the president. Him and Jeff Cox, which I'm sure you guys know Jeff Cox, but he became the president of the league there, and so that's about the same time that you guys were playing.
2 big energy guys.
Very much so.
Big energy.
So. I haven't seen Jeff Cox in a while, man. I'd like to run into him again. He's a cool dude. But they won the Shrine tournament and all that stuff. All you local people to Newark will probably understand what we're talking about, but the rest of them definitely not.
It's the Grand Slam of Little League baseball.
It is, yeah. What's that? What's the Little League World Series? It's got nothing on the Shrine tournament.
It really doesn't. Yeah, Little Texas. If you want to see some ball,
yep, that's where it's at.
You go to the Shrine.
And then, of course, in previous life, when I was at the bank, your mom was my marketing supervisor or head of the marketing department. She was there for a really long time, so we got to know each other. You and I did from that perspective. Of course, you already knew my family and everything from ball. And so it was really cool when you guys all got connected through Alex. And it's like, oh, well, hell, I know Matthew. That's cool. And then Fish, we've become, good friends here lately too. So it's been really cool to get you guys on board and, have that different perspective, if you will. It's just not all about whitetails. It's not all about turkeys or fishing or whatever. You guys are bringing that waterfowl game into it, and it's been awesome so far. So
it's been a long time coming, that's for sure.
Oh, man, for sure. So, Fish, how did you get your start with these guys? And then we'll get back into Matthew here.
Really, it kind of goes way back.
You guys all went to Newark Catholic, right?
Right.
Yeah. Is that how you? Yeah. So you probably know.
Me and Alex, we didn't really become best friends till probably, I don't know,
probably like
6-7 years ago, maybe more.
Probably more. Probably freshman or sophomore year.
Yeah. So like we knew of each other, in middle school because we both went to feeder schools.
Yeah, sure.
So it was our freshman year or something, and like I knew he hunted a little bit and fished, and we shared similar interests. So we were at a basketball game or something one night in the student section. I went up and I was talking to him. I was like, "Hey, you hunt?" And he's like, "Yeah, I do a little bit." And all right, I was like, "Well, we need to go hunting sometime."
Oh, for sure.
And this was right before youth gun season.
Yeah.
So I said, "Dude," I said, if you want, I said, come out this weekend. I said, you can hunt our farm and everything. So he actually just got like his driver's license or something, and he came out one night.
His house was the first place I drove with my driver's
That's
license.
all to go hunt.
To go hunt.
That's what a story.
So he comes out in the evening, and a big snowstorm was coming through. So we went across the road to one of our farms, and we set up for the night and didn't see much. And then that night, him for getting his license, a fresh driver. So like, hey, let's go to Rural King. Let's go. We were driving all over, just like looking at stuff. Anyways, the next morning, we were out hunting, and it was like 20 minutes after shooting light, and all of a sudden, bam, bam, bam.
I mean, whiff. It was awful. Right over the back 3 times.
So you went through all 3 shots.
Yeah. So he was sitting up there with my dad, and I was down, in the valley with my brother, and I was like, oh, he had to have got something. And when he shot, a buck came out, and I ended up shooting it. It took me like 4 shots myself, I think. But anyways, that's kind of how it got started with us.
I love it.
Then we got to talking. I was like, have you ever been duck hunting? And he's like, no, never been. And I was like, you got to go.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, that'd be fun. I said, I just got to tell you. I said, you're going to be addicted the first time we go. So.
It makes me a little worried going out with these boys, man. Yeah. My pockets aren't deep enough.
Yeah. I'm scared. I don't need another hobby.
Oh, yes, you do.
You do. You got to trade some other hobbies for this one. But.
Get your kids hooked on duck hunting and they won't do drugs.
That's right.
Yeah. They won't have enough money for it.
Exactly.
Or time or enough energy.
Mm-hmm.
I know we were just joking. Of course, Matthew and I and Ben, we're the old men in the group here. Ben's the oldest; he's 36, so that makes me feel a little bit better. We were just joking about how these guys are all drinking their Red Bulls and eating their sprees on a rope and all that stuff. Can't do it, man. Can't do it.
I still drink Red Bull.
Yeah,
but
it was cool too because and just to kind of tie things back together about just how small of a world it is. Of course, your girlfriend Courtney, played volleyball with my sister. She went. Courtney went to Granville, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and then of course my sister went to Newark and same age as you guys and stuff. So, I was like seeing pictures of Courtney. I'm like, damn. And I sent it to Jamie, my sister, and she's like, oh yeah, I know. Yeah. I was like, that's what I thought because I did like pictures and stuff for them when they did travel ball. So it's funny how all this stuff kind of works itself
Small
out.
world.
Oh, for sure. Excuse me, but well, cool. Yeah, so that's kind of a cool introduction to just how we all got together, and I think it's been really cool since. We're all relatively close to the same age, with the exception of these young bloods over here, Matthew. But we share common interests, and you guys are so passionate about the waterfowl stuff. It's been really eye-opening for me just to kind of learn a little bit too. Like I mentioned earlier, this area is so whitetail centric, right? It's so whitetail heavy. Even like compared to like turkey and stuff, it's whitetails are king, and so to kind of learn more about what you guys are doing and have done, it's just really cool for me to be a part of that. And like I joke with you guys, I went duck hunting one time. We've said it on the podcast before too. I killed one hen mallard on Buckeye Lake, Maple Bay.
There you go.
She landed. She landed in the water, and I shot her sitting duck. I never even shot a duck in the air yet. So we're gonna.
You guys hunt Buckeye Lake a lot?
Yeah, a decent amount. We do.
You got a pretty rare one this year, didn't you?
Yeah, me and Fish and a bunch of our buddies, we had a little get together at his house. And the next morning we went out to Buckeye Lake and we shot a couple long-tail ducks. Where the old squaw?
Old squaw. Yeah. It was crazy. Actually, because it's kind of one of those places where if we don't have somewhere to go, we'll go out there. Cause, more than likely you'll see something. So
something's
and it's
flying.
It's somewhat close, and it's nice to get the boat out. But we had a small get together at my place the night before, and it was a big group of us. And I was like, hey, let's go out and see what happens. So my buddy actually the day before, he was out there, and he said they got back to the ramp, and there was a bird watcher out there, a photographer with a ginormous 600 millimeter lens.
Sure. That's sweet.
And he's like, they saw ducks, they're like white ducks, and they asked him hey, what are those? He's like, oh, there's our old squaw. So, he texted me. He's like, dude, there's old squaw at Buckeye Lake. I said, there's no way. I said, you got your ducks mixed up. I said, there's no way there's one out there. So, we went out there the next day, and we're all just sitting there bull crapping. And out of nowhere, a flock of ducks is flying real low on the deck. And we weren't ready. We're just sitting. They go behind the island, and out of nowhere, here they are right over top of our decoys. So we all grab our guns, and we shoot into them. And we're all kind of just
it was like we were all in shock.
Yeah.
We were
bet.
Once we realized what they were, we're like, You got to be kidding me.
Dude.
So we sent the dogs, and one of them went out. Matt one got the boat and got the other one. But it's just one of those things where like what are the chances of that?
For sure.
Yeah.
How rare is that to have one of those around here?
I mean,
so there's sea ducks.
Yeah.
You mainly shoot them on the coasts of the United States, and sometimes they dabble around the Great Lakes, but they migrate far. I mean, sometimes they go up and they live in the Bering Sea. Just to see them in Ohio, especially this far south, is unheard of.
That's amazing.
They'll kill them up on like Lake Erie a little bit, and then like up in Michigan. But really, for them to come like inland like this, it's really odd. So if I had to guess, they're probably just up north, just resting, and then decide to migrate down through. And
that's wild,
saw Buckeye
dude.
Ocean, and decide to hang out for a bit. But
little did they know that you were waiting there for them.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Pass that over to Mike or Matthew real fast. So, Matthew, I saw a picture. Like we talked about all the small world connection too, and I saw a picture. So one thing I didn't mention too, obviously your fiance Mallory. I'm really good friends with her and her family.
She's gonna love being shouted out.
I'll shout out, hey Mal, how are you? We were supposed to be in your basement drinking beer right now, but that's okay. But last year, didn't you? I think she posted a picture too. You had what was it that you got last year that you had on the counter? It was like a special. Was it a wood duck?
It was a pintail, probably.
Pintail?
Yeah, it's still in the freezer.
It's still in the freezer. Yeah,
still on the counter.
Did you have I think she had a picture of it, and she's like, when you're a waterfowl hunter's wife or whatever, and it was like, you had like a Post-it note or something that was like, don't touch.
Yeah, because I was planning on mounting it.
Yeah.
And it's still in the freezer, so.
Well,
to be continued.
We have a guy for that,
Do you?
Yes, I do. Toby Burdett. Burdett Taxidermy. Shout out Toby.
Really?
Yeah, he's not sponsoring this episode anymore, but it doesn't mean I don't want to shout him out. Yeah, hook him up. Utica.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the greatest, man. He's the greatest. Well, yep. He did my pheasant that I got over there at Bullseye in New Philly.
Very cool.
So,
quick turnaround time.
Yeah. So the old man in the group. How did you get connected with these guys? Obviously, these guys were in high school together. At what point did you all kind of get together? And we're going to get into the North Marsh stuff here, which is the main thing that we got you guys on your latest endeavor. But just as a friendship-wise, how did you kind of get connected?
It's kind of like a blind date, to be honest.
That's exactly
a blind hunting date.
It's a great word for it.
Yeah, I mean, it was really. Yeah. I got phone numbers, I think, for fish from a mutual friend.
Yeah.
And we started texting kind of that evening. We had both had permission through the mutual friend to hunt a private marsh the following morning.
Okay.
And I guess he overscheduled both of us. And at first I was kind of frustrated that he had given permission to someone else, because the day before my brother and I had gone out and had a pretty good hunt. We were pretty jacked up. We're going back the next day. No one's going to be there. We're closing the gate behind us. And then the gentleman shared Fisher's number with me. And, I mean, really the first time we met, everyone we had headlights on.
Yeah.
We're shaking hands. I'd never even seen these guys in person. And, I mean, really, as the sun came up, that was the first time
That's awesome.
kind of figured out what they looked like.
You're like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
What am I getting myself into?
I mean, honestly, from that day on, that was, I think, in 2018, 2019. I mean, really, yeah. And these guys, they had a waterfowl group that they kind of always ran around with, and I would say I kind of invited myself into the group.
Yeah.
It's a young man's game.
Well, you got the boat, so.
Yeah. But, I mean, ever since then, we've spent almost every day, it feels like, talking about waterfowl.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah, so.
I believe it. Well, and like I was telling you with my experience too, like I had that opportunity with Randy Lewis, which you know Randy, and kind of like got invited to that. So it's like you find a group of guys that all get along with each other.
Sure.
And, somebody that you want to share a blind with, right?
Sure.
And, some early mornings and some late evenings for sure. And so, it's always funny when you see these waterfowl guys, it's always like groups of them, right? No one's doing this sport, I feel like, by themselves too much. If they are.
It's a lot of work.
It is. You got to have somebody pick up all those decoys, right? Like,
That's right.
So, no, it's cool. As long as I've known you since Matt. I think I started at the bank in the marketing in like 2015 or so. And of course, before I never even knew that you were like into hunting when you were there. Now, of course, we didn't talk all the time, but just like I'm sure there's not very many kids. How many kids at Newark Catholic do you think even hunt? Like, because I know it's a mixed bag of kids
a
out there.
handful, really.
Yeah,
You think?
when we were going through them, if I had to guess, probably maybe 5.
Really?
At least in our class, but in the
Yeah.
whole high school, if I had to guess, maybe maybe a dozen or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was nothing like what we do. Like, it was go out for deer gun season.
I was gonna say, yeah. It's the I'm going out with my parents for deer gun, and that's about it. And
Right.
you're not really putting much effort into it. Yeah, you guys are pretty hardcore about it. But yeah, I never even knew that you did. How long have you been hunting, Matt?
I don't know. I mean, grew up with a father that really wasn't into hunting.
Yeah.
Fortunate enough that my parents came across a property when I think I was in 7th, 8th grade.
Okay.
My brother would have been in 5th or 6th.
Yeah.
And from that moment on, it was kind of self-taught.
Okay.
There was a gentleman living out there, a caretaker. Shout out to him. He's since passed, but old school guy, recurve guy.
Okay.
Was just super passionate about chasing whitetails, and he kind of took us under his wing almost as like, I don't want to sound corny, but it felt like he was another grandfather to us.
Oh, I believe it.
And I mean, he would go sit on the rocks and just watch the deer.
Yeah.
And he was past that stage of chasing the trophy whitetails, and that was when Drury Outdoors was coming up. And
Sure.
I mean, I remember all the time my brother and I, all we wanted for Christmas were Drury Outdoor DVDs.
That's awesome.
And grunt calls.
That's awesome.
I mean, yeah. And my brother and I just became infatuated with it. And then kind of as we got a little bit older and we started being able to experience different types of hunting, once we got into waterfowl hunting, there's just something different about it.
Oh, sure.
And, it's like we're sitting here, just a group of dudes chilling. It's kind of the same thing. It's that same camaraderie when you're in the field with the guys. Deer hunting's very isolated.
Sure.
Waterfowl hunting's very it's a group effort.
Yeah.
And it takes not only finding them and the weather being right and being on the X, but also it's enjoyable when the birds aren't doing anything.
Sure.
To look left and right and just know.
Yeah.
At least you didn't sleep in. At least you're out.
At
here
least you're out
trying
there.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can echo that a little bit just from my little bit of an experience that I had. So they had a blind draw on the south side of the lake over by Fairfield Beach when I first went. And Randy took me out. Again, it's kind of like that mentor in this sport. And, early morning, you just got your headlamps, you got the putt-putt of the motor in the water at idle, and you're just going out, you're setting out deeks, and you're bringing it back. But one thing that one day that I did it in the morning, like anytime you're looking at, you guys know, and I know I'm explaining this to you, and you're like, yeah, we see it all the time, but that early morning blue sky, when you got birds flying, and you're like, it's not quite shooting light yet, but you're like, oh, damn, like, there they go. Dude, it's like,
Best part of the day.
it's the best part of the day, and like with that, like you're not necessarily bored because whitetail, you're up in the tree, you got a limited 100-yard viewing area, whatever, right? Especially where we are, and if you're in the woods or whatever, and you can see what you can see. But when you're like duck hunting, you're not too worried about. I mean, at the time when you're scouting, you're not really. Your eyes can just kind of wander, you know what I mean, and just like really kind of pan your environment and take it all in. I think that would be huge. I would think. I mean, just from my one experience, that was just like, Randy would be like, oh, there's ducks right there. And he'd be like, oh, those are pintails, or oh, those are mallards, or oh, those are this or that. I'm like, how do you know, dude? They're flying at like 30 miles an hour, it seems like. And he's like, no, you can't shoot those. He's like, you can only get one of those. But it's just, I love it, dude.
That's just cool to hear, from someone else's, like, coming out of someone else's mouth. It doesn't do it a lot. But, I mean, that's probably like.
Yeah. I mean, that was the only time. That's literally the only time I've done it. And it's just been that one weekend. Dude, I have so many memories taken away from that, from my first time walking in waders in Maple Bay, and it's a great feeling. And, you got the squish and you feel it, and I'm learning how to step on, the cattail roots. And, this is all stuff that you guys probably take for granted now, but at the same time, like, making the 2x4 seat because we were tired of standing in the marsh the whole time or in the cattails the whole time, or, be 3 feet back and not 2 feet back, so you're not getting pinned out. And it's just like, dude, there's just so much to take away from it. It's a really fun experience, and you guys live it every day during the season.
Yeah, and off season too.
And off season too. But
you guys do a lot of scouting in off season to try to find new places, or you just kind of stick to the same honey holes, or?
Yeah, I mean, we have like our primary like locations, if you will.
Sure.
But like, if I'm not doing it physically, like I'm scouting no matter what, whether it's on my phone, on X or HuntWise or Google Maps or something. Like I'm always looking for bigger bodies of water that I know like come late season will hold a large number of birds. So that's actually like some of my better spots I have. Like that's how I found them.
Yeah.
Was this bored one day in class and just pull out my phone. I'm just I just look, and then after class I'll get in the truck and I'll just go and drive. So
sure.
But yeah, like in the off season, you don't do much scouting. Just for a main reason, like the birds aren't here yet.
Sure.
They're still up in Canada and stuff. So,
yeah.
But usually like a month or so before like the early season comes in, that's when we'll start hitting it pretty hard.
Sure. And then you make sure you bring Alex with you in his Air Force uniform so he can get you some extra permission,
in the dress blues.
In the dress blues. Hey, man, you got to take advantage of it.
I don't think I could ever do that, honestly.
We've joked about it before. Like, say there's like a huge field with a mega feed. And I said, dude, just go home and get your dress blues on. And we laugh about it. Then we kind of just like sit there and we're like, yeah, it's probably not a good idea.
Bro,
Feel super bad about it after the fact.
Yeah, you would feel super. But now I wouldn't mind like bringing my daughter with me to go ask for permission to hunt. I did do that this year. I did, and she didn't go with me one day. It was way too cold. No, that's funny to say that, but. Yeah, if you're like us, I mean, you're driving around, for me, it's like, okay, oh, look, there's deer in that field. Okay, cool. Like, I got that one down. But it's not, again, coming back to the deer hunting stuff, it's so competitive. And I feel like duck hunting is probably even more competitive in that regard, too, because there's not so many people doing it. But do you guys find that, like, when you ask for permission to whitetail hunt, people know what they're getting themselves into? Like, when you go through that process of, let's say you find a field that's got some birds on it, I'm sure these farmers don't really care for the geese on their field. Like, how do you kind of manage, like, the permission side of it, or the asking, or the leasing, or anything like that?
I mean, really, like, we don't lease any property. It's kind of one of those things where, like, first come, first serve.
Sure.
I mean, if there's a farm that's big enough, to hold a good group of guys, and it's all depending on the farmer as well.
Yeah, sure.
Like, there's a couple farms that I hunt that there's other groups of guys that do hunt it. Like the farmers, they'll say, listen, like another group of guys, they have permission. So, like if they're here first, and so.
I feel like. Do you feel like the permission comes easier, like, cause you whitetail hunt too? Do you feel like the permission comes easier for the birds as opposed to the whitetail?
Depends on what you say. If you say geese.
If you say geese, that's boom instantly, right? Everyone hates geese.
Yeah.
Except ODNR, they love them on their ponds out there on 13.
Yeah. It all depends on the person, really.
Sure.
Like Matt said, like, 9 times out of 10, if you say, hey, there's a bunch of ducks on your pond, you care if I hunt? They're like, oh, no, look, we like watching the ducks. But if you say, there's a bunch of geese back there, they're like, oh, yeah. The best feeling is whenever you ask for farmer permission, he's like, oh, kill them all. So. But and
that's when that pintail flies through, or that wood duck, and you're like, yes, sir. You said all, right?
Yeah, I mean, Fisher's the captain when it comes to getting permission.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say Alex and I are both guilty of kind of leaning on Fish. He's primarily he's still in school.
Yeah.
Right. I'm a little bit older, so I have a career, and Alex has started his career.
Yep.
So the ability to leave class, or let's say he's got a class that ends at noon, and his next class starts at 3. I mean, the dude's on the road.
Yep.
And that's huge. And timing of scouting is a big deal too. A lot of times, I'll agree with Fish, hey, I'm going to go scout after work. Well, if I leave the office at 4:30, I've got a half hour to try and find something before it gets dark.
Yeah.
So it's easy to get frustrated with scouting, but timing of it, the time of year, what the weather's doing.
Because you don't want to scout the wrong place either, right?
Yeah.
If you're scouting in the middle of summer, that might not be it.
Yeah, and scouting in Ohio is a lot different than scouting, in Arkansas or Oklahoma or Texas. I mean, I would say, and I'm not an expert in those states by any means,
Sure.
but just driving through the states, you know, if you lived there, you would have the ability to watch birds move from, you know, a loafing area to a feeding area pretty regularly, where in Ohio, you know, they're a lot further away. So the drive time required to find them takes a lot longer.
Sure. Oh yeah, I believe it. That kind of leads me kind of into some next points here too. So you said Arkansas. I mean, we can't talk to you guys about your couple of trips that you had. I mean, I'm sure you guys are still reliving it in your mind. You've been in Arkansas what now? Two times, 2 years in a row, or has it been longer? Together.
Yeah, these two, and us two. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you've been 3, right?
3 or 4.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
my 4th time down, but my 2nd time with these guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember the first time I really even truly heard about Arkansas, I was at the bank, and just a legend that is it Stuttgart, right? That area.
Yep.
And when the bank acquired another bank in North Carolina, I don't know if you recall any of that information, but the president over there at the time was just like a young money kind of president, right, of the bank. And he was telling me about being invited down to Arkansas and hunt. And that was the first time I even really heard about it, because it's just not something that I really kept up with. And then I started seeing you guys. I'm like, oh, okay, this is like the duck hunting capital of the world. Like it's got a super awesome flyway. You got all these birds coming in here migrating. And then you guys started going down. I think, Alex, you were sending us some pictures from that. Let's go ahead and we'll get into that first year, because you guys had some really cool experience the first year. And then we'll dive into what you guys just came back from not too long ago with this most recent trip this past season.
Yeah, so how all really got started was I was in training down in Pensacola, Florida.
Okay.
And I was in the dormitory, and I hear somebody blowing a duck call.
Yeah. You're like,
I was like, what is going on?
that's my person.
Yeah. And it happened to be like 2 doors down. I knock on his door. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I was blowing my cut down. I was like, what is it? He's like, what do you mean, what is it? I was like, what call is it? He's like, oh, my buddy made it. My buddy Brent. So my buddy Taylor Vols, he, shout out Taylor. We became like best friends when we were down there.
Oh,
I mean, we're both down in training away from our families, and we just connected on duck hunting. And I got him in contact with these guys. And, you travel places, especially military, and you meet new people, and you're always like, yeah, man, we got to stay in touch.
Yeah.
And, we're definitely going to keep talking. And usually doesn't happen. But
Sure. Good intentions.
I mean,
yeah.
Me and him, we talked all the time. And then he eventually invited me and Fish down to come hunt with them. And our one buddy couldn't come, so we decided actually, was that the first year? Or was it just me and you the first year?
First year was me, you, and Chase.
It was me, you, and Chase. Yeah, so the first year we came down, and it just, the birds weren't there yet.
Yeah.
But I mean, we still had a great time, made some great connections.
Sure.
It was just a blast.
It was one of those things where, me and Alex can only talk through, phone calls, because he's at basic training. And one day he's like, I met this kid down there. He's a duck hunter. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I was like, where's he from? He's like, Tennessee, but, they hunt Arkansas. I was like, Arkansas.
You're like,
no
hey.
way. And so, as it went on,
yes, sir.
so he's like, yeah, his buddy makes calls and everything. I said, dude, you need like that's be someone we should stay in contact with,
Oh, sure.
So, no, he came home, and he, to this day, we're still all really good best friends, especially through Alex. So the first year down there, like he said, the birds just weren't there, and we're staying at Taylor's mom's house, in his little room, and we're passing out on the couch, and but at that point, we'll get into it later, but our buddy Brent, they have a house over in Arkansas now, so
Okay.
it was one of those things where you got to drive 2 hours over to Arkansas just to be able to hunt. So,
oh, sure, yeah.
they weren't able to scout, and some of their leases wasn't holding water and stuff, but yeah, it's just cool how people can connect and build such a crazy relationship just through the sport of duck hunting.
Dude,
So,
yeah. Just in the outdoor industry and period.
yeah.
How many friendships are made just over a camp, campfire or a bush light, and whatever, just like chilling. There's so many. So That would have been, what, 2 years ago that you guys went down, or was that 3?
3.
3 years?
Yep.
Matthew's saying 3.
It'd be 3.
And then so when we got connected, you went down in 21, right?
Yeah, that was our second time.
That was your that was your
second
second time.
Right.
And that you guys
Well, that'd be our third because we went down the year previous.
That's true.
On a
they
guided
didn't
trip.
invite you at all, Matthew. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just messing.
We actually,
It's all
we
good.
went down. What year was that? 20.
I would
18,
say
2019?
2019, because I was in training in 20.
Well, like really,
Okay.
how it happened is, my dad. That's kind of how I got the passion instilled in me. One day we were just going through some like old memorabilia, and he had this old, these old tapes where, like his old hunting films. And one day I just started plugging them in and started watching them. And there were some from him down in North Carolina, sea duck hunting, and then he had his Arkansas, hunting trips, and they're in their pit blinds, and he's filming on an old camcorder, and ducks everywhere, and then it's like short clips of them going back to the lodge, and it's just an old wooden shack with everyone's ducks just laid out from the day, and it was one of those things where I was like, oh, that'd be cool to go down, and it's coming on our senior year of high school. We got to talking, and I was like, that'd be cool if we could get a big group together and go down and hunt. So one of his his good buddies that he always went down with growing up, he gave him a call, and he's like, you remember the outfitter we went to when we were down in Arkansas? And he's like, yeah, it's Daniel Boone. So we looked it up, and it's an outfitter that's still in business. So we booked it, and we went down there probably in mid-December. And it was just cool because like we were hunting out the same blinds that my dad was hunting out of.
That's so
Yeah,
awesome.
that is cool.
That's so awesome. You get especially having the footage of it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like obviously they didn't have the little wooden shack that was in the videos, but like the pit blinds and everything. So it was cool just to have my dad and Alex's dad and like my brothers, and it's just cool to all go down and kind of just like just share that experience where like my dad once with his best buddies like shared. So
dude, that's so
it was
awesome.
cool.
That's so awesome. Well, cool. Got anything for him?
Have you guys always been passionate about photography, or that just come with the duck hunting, or?
So I started on photography because I was the little brother, and I was, just wanted.
I was gonna say your brother Levi, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I knew Levi through like his Ford. His like diesel life. Didn't he have a diesel?
He did. Yeah. He's
always
been about the
through the far from stock stuff.
That's true. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So Brandon on those group texts, not to segue too much, but on those group text messages that we have, Brandon Folk is on there. He's like the brother-in-law of Daryl.
I gotcha.
So
yeah.
it's all the far from stock stuff there. So.
Yeah. So my brother, he I've always just wanted to do what he was doing as a younger kid. He started getting into photography, and I was like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And it was honestly, I was just following him, and then it just became a passion of mine.
Yeah.
I just started taking pictures of, everything, absolutely everything. And then I figured out that photo shoots aren't for me.
No.
Nope.
No?
They're just awkward.
Senior photos are probably, especially as I get older, they're probably the most awkward thing I do now.
They're very awkward. But my thing is candids.
Oh, yeah.
I started hunting with him, and I was like, man, I really want to bring my camera, but I'm afraid I'm going to, break it or drop it in the water. And then I just had to realize that that's a risk I'm going to have to take.
It's a tool.
Right. It's a tool at this point. And I've gotten to the point where I don't even shoot sometimes. Last time I was in Arkansas, I loaded my gun maybe 3 times.
Sure.
The whole time I just shot photos.
Pictures.
Right. I probably shot close to 5,000 photos. And even shooting that many as fellow photographers, that you're not going to have that many good photos.
No.
No. But it started as me following my brother. It turned into a passion, and then it turned into a passion of storytelling.
Sure.
You can show in a lot of emotion, and through captions, obviously you can convey those emotions. But even just looking at a photo, you can tell that it's a very cold day. It's a very warm day.
Yeah, sure.
Whatever the scene is.
There's that one I really like. It's of you fish last fall or last winter. I think you got one of him like late season. and it was like steam, like the breath coming off of you. You guys were hunting on the river.
It was that river hunt.
The
It was
river
like
hunt.
-4. It was like negative something.
Yeah.
It was awful.
I could I just like see it. Like just talking here, I just close my eyes and I can see that picture because it's like again to go back and to appreciate what you see and to know what's going through your mind as like what would be going through my mind or Ben's mind at that time. It's like okay, like I can see exactly what he was seeing in that picture. It's awesome.
It's just cool to be able to, freeze those moments and just look back on them.
Oh, for sure.
And like that picture you're talking about, like a, 85-degree summer day where like you're going through your phone, you look at that and you're like, man.
Yeah.
Like, how many birds you saw that day, how many birds you shot. Like,
yep.
Like, yeah, the drive there, like, the drive getting to the spot was hectic. We're basically going mud bogging in our trucks, just getting to it. Everything's freezing. But, it's just little things like that. Like, which is, it's just cool. Especially for like, that's how I got started into photography really is through Alex.
Yeah.
Because, I can remember when he first got his first camera, it was just, shout out to Alex. He's a very impulse buyer. He'll see something and he'll buy it.
That's
so
true.
He ended up going buying.
He's got that military money, man. Be careful.
I don't know.
What was it? It's like a Nikon.
It was a Nikon
D5600 or something.
It was a D3400, one of the
I know exactly.
OG beginners. Yeah.
So he got that, and I was like, bring it over. I said, let's play with it.
Oh, heck
so
yeah.
he brought it over, and springtime there's some geese in my pond. I said, let's sneak down there and try to get some pictures. So we ran down there. We're trying to get cool pictures of geese in my pond and stuff. But well, that's where I like kind of found somewhat my passion for it is through him because he was always bringing his camera and taking cool pictures, and whenever we'd get back and he'd be sitting there editing them, I'm like sitting over his shoulder just like watching, like, man, that's cool though. So a couple years ago, like my mom ended up getting me a camera for Christmas, and like Alex said, like I was really hesitant, like I didn't want to bring it, like I didn't want to trash it, and I just started getting out there, started buying lenses and stuff, and then this year I ended up upgrading actually, but if it wouldn't have been for Alex, you
would have had a lot more money.
Yeah, that's right.
I was kidding. But
kind of like Alex said, it's it's one of those things where it's nice just to be able to just freeze those moments and share them with others.
Oh, sure. Especially as you get older, man, that stuff you're gonna appreciate it way more than what you even do right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just looking at the pictures of the camaraderie that you guys have built with each other these last few years, even down to the pictures of your dogs. Those dogs aren't going to be there forever, but that picture is going to be, or that picture that you have on your wall or in your bedroom or living room, wherever, that's always going to be there too. And so building those memories and looking back, man, as you get older, like I said, it just becomes that much more special for you.
It's cool that y'all are doing video too, because you've got those just like your dad filmed those videos.
Yeah.
I remember there's a video last year when Matt got a duck coming down. He's like,
oh yeah, beating his chest.
Awesome.
Oh, that's talking about emotion.
Yeah,
for sure. That was like your Super Bowl pump. Ben's gonna pass the mic over to you, but just like that video and all those clips and stuff that you guys have. What was it that you shot? That you were all
Green Wing 2.
That was a banded wood duck.
Well, the banded wood duck was not. It could have been. I'm pretty sure the Green Wing Teal was the one from the video, but
still,
both
of them.
That was unreal.
Yeah, you were freaking jacked up, man.
I remember turning around, trying to make eye contact with Alex, and his lens was my eye contact.
Because he already knew.
Yeah.
He already knew.
Yeah, that was one of those days where Alex, I remember, was that the day of 25 guys on that bank?
25 guys hunting in the hole.
Yeah.
And that was that down in Arkansas too?
Yeah.
I didn't even pull my gun out that day.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't believe it.
All camera.
You had a lot of bangers that day too. I mean, that was like some of the early morning sunrise stuff with the silhouettes and. Was
that hunt was with the 24/7 guys.
Was it with the 24?
Yep.
Yeah, we haven't got down that road. We'll talk about that here in a minute.
But that morning, I mean, it was wild. We banged them in that same spot the morning before. We limited out. I mean, it was insane. It was raining all day, so nobody wanted to go out.
Yeah.
So we said, we're going.
Yeah.
So we went out and bagged them, and then the next day, everybody heard that. You're like, oh, they're on this spot. We show up. I mean, there's 25 dudes there.
Well, thanks to Louie. What'd you do?
He came back to the bow ramp. Shot a 7-man.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, well, we know where you are.
Shout out to Jared Granados.
Our really
boat
good
ramp bomb.
Yep.
Yeah.
Our really good buddy, Jared, our buddy Brent, we got to his house late one night, and, we're, like, trying to figure out where we're going the next morning, and Brent's like, I got a buddy. He's at the ramp right now, holding the spot for us. And like there's no service like anywhere you're at in Arkansas really. So like
Yeah, sure.
you try to make a phone call and it just goes straight to voicemail.
Yeah,
so
make
like
sure
he's
your
trying
girlfriend
them.
knows that before you go down there.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So he's trying to call his
Courtney
buddy.
calling you all the time. No, I'm just kidding.
He's trying to call his buddy and like not answering. I'm like, I was like, I don't know, like
Yeah.
I don't know if this is gonna work. So it's probably like 12 o'clock at night. So he's like, hell, we'll just drive down to the ramp. So we go down there, and this was our first time ever meeting our buddy Jared. And we pull up, and it's a bridge crossing the Cache River. And there's a bunch of guys that stand in the middle, and they roll down the window, and you don't see. It's so dark out there.
Yeah.
There's no light pollution or anything, and you just see like the red glow of a cigarette in someone's face. And
That's cool.
so it ended up being his buddy, and he's like, yeah, I got a group of guys. Like we're number one truck on the boat ramp, so we'll hold a hole for you guys, and then we'll run down. So we go back to the house and take a 5-minute shower, then we're headed straight back there. So Jared, he held the hole for us, and right before we launched the boat, just a huge rainstorm came through. Like you were holding your hand 10 inches away from your face, and you couldn't even see it. That's how hard it was raining.
Yeah.
And we had all of our gear on. We get there, and like Alex said, it was a 6 or 7 man we shot in maybe like 2 hours. And we get back to the ramp, and everyone's pulling their boats out. And a guy goes up to Matt. He's like, oh, you guys, sound like you shot them pretty good. And I was like, yeah. I was like, we shot a couple. And Matt goes, we shot a 6 man. And I was like, what are you doing? So, sure enough, we're like, well, we'll go back to the same hole the next day. And, Jared, he kind of knows everyone in that area. So we launched the boat, and we're going up to the spot, and all you see, it's this headlight all the way down the levee. It's just all headlights. And I mean, Jared, he ended up knowing pretty much everyone there just because he's a man of many connections.
Oh,
so
I'm sure.
it's just one of those other things where it's a cool experience where like the day before you're hunting with 6 guys, and then the next morning you're hunting with 25.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have half the village with you.
So yeah, it was cool.
I figured he like spouted off in the bar or something that night or whatever.
I mean, keep in mind, this was anytime I had been to Arkansas prior to this, I was hunting private land or it was guided.
Oh, sure.
So this was my first time hunting public land. And I remember the night we're standing on this bridge, and I'm trying to read Jared because at first I didn't trust him. And the way he was talking, he sounded like a rule bender. But I love him. I mean, he's passionate. He's a grinder. He sent me a screenshot of his Onyx the other night, and I just started dying laughing. I sent it to my brother Michael, and I was just like, look at all these pins. He's like, yeah, it's overwhelming. I was like, no, it's not.
You're like, I love it.
For us to go in, I think we drove. I didn't drive. I was in the backseat sleeping. These two drove. How long does it take to get down there?
It's probably around 11 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with stops and everything.
Yeah.
You're ready to get out of the truck. And as soon as we get out of the truck, we get unpacked. And next thing you know, we're on the road again. And we're pulling up to a public ramp where, there's 30 trucks and trailers in line because the boat ramp is wide enough for one truck and trailer to back in. I was fascinated with it. I was like, all these guys are here.
Just a duck hunt?
Yeah, to duck hunt. I mean, you don't ever see that in Ohio. And there was just like this energy in the air where it's a community of duck hunters. Everything around there is built around duck hunters. I mean, guys are going to work pulling their duck boat.
Yep.
They're leaving work and they're picking up their dog and they're going to check holes. And for us to meet someone, my very first night there, who literally lived it. I mean, he slept at boat ramps. And, Fish said earlier about him, being the first truck at the ramp. That's huge when, you got 30 guys scouting the same area and they want to hunt the same hole you want to hunt. But if you're the first truck at the boat ramp, you're the first boat heading down the river.
Yeah.
And I remember coming around the corner, and Taylor was laying face down. Brent Baggett was driving the boat, one of the best boat drivers I've ever seen in my life.
In good hands like Allstate.
Yeah. I mean, that dude keeps us safe, but he also gets us there. And I remember just kind of taking it all in, but we came around, you are driving through the trees, but there is a main river channel that you run through. And then as the river levels rise, it floods different areas, which opens up different holes in the woods. Sure. Thousands and thousands of acres. And I remember coming around the bend, and Jared just had his boat in drive, just stuck on the bank holding this hole for us. And at that moment, I knew he was a good dude.
Yeah.
Because he took off. We get set up. We had no idea what to expect. And next thing you know, we hear the Southern accent boys from Memphis, Taylor and Brent, just saying, "I love y'all," and we were banging them. It was unreal. Pouring down rain. Brent's dog Halo, a little overweight, but he gets after it. I mean, he gets after it, and it was unreal. It was unreal.
Hey everyone, we need to take a quick break from the conversation to let you know about a few events we're hosting this month. The weekend of February 24th will be a busy one for us here at Vance Outdoors, as we have 3 events we're hosting at our Hebron store that weekend. It all starts with our 21st annual in-house boat and fishing show. Stop in and hear from pro anglers and check out all the great deals we'll have to get you stocked up for this upcoming fishing and boating season. Or maybe predator hunting is your thing. Friday also kicks off our 7th annual coyote tournament. Team registration is $120, with $20 of that going to help support our friends at American Hero Hunt. Weigh-ins will be on Sunday, February 26th at 2 p.m. And finally, we're hosting our Buckmaster scoring event for our 6th annual Big Buck contest. So if you still need to have your buck scored by a Buckmaster's official scorer, you can stop in at our Hebron or Lebanon locations on Saturday, February 25th or Sunday the 26th to have any shed or rack scored for $15. But remember, only 2022 season harvest will be entered into our contest. This year, we're excited to announce that the hunter with the largest archery whitetail will win a Predator Talon 750 e-bike. And top winners from each category will win a $500 Vance Outdoors gift card. Thanks, everyone. Now let's get back into the conversation. Let's get into, so you were down in Arkansas. I think what really, we talk about it kind of being a young man's game here lately. I think Matthew said that. And you met up with the 24/7 guys, which our typical Ohio listener is probably not going to know who we're talking about, but trap music is playing in my head right now, just thinking about it. How, and I didn't realize how big they actually were, I think, until you guys started hunting with them, because I'm just not from this world. And, you guys started hunting with them. I'm sure that was probably a pretty cool experience, especially being just like younger guys yourself. Like, how was that experience, and just knowing like how connected they are, in the industry with Yeti and Sika and all that stuff? Like, how, were you a little starstruck, or like how did that work out?
Really, how it all happened is probably 3 years ago. They were up and coming with 24/7, and Renard, he was good buddies with a dude by the name of Caleb Justice, and he was managing a duck club, an outfitter down in Louisiana. So they were like, hey, let's partner and let's do a giveaway hunt. So 24/7 in Jelks Bayou, they did a giveaway hunt where, 24/7, their followers, they,
Sure.
post on their story. One of my buddies' guy, he ended up winning.
Okay.
Like, I didn't even know about the giveaway. And one night he calls me, he's like, dude, I won the 24/7 hunt giveaway. And I was thinking he's just messing with me. Like, oh, you gotta be kidding. He's like, no, go watch the live right now.
That's awesome.
So I did, and he's like, the winner's Guy Zimmerman out of Ohio. And I was like, that's awesome. So, fast forward to that winter, we, there we are driving, 14 something hours down to Louisiana. And we get there, and, we pull up to the lodge, and it's in the middle of nowhere, of course. And
yeah.
We're trying to get a hold of Caleb, and he's like, we're out in a hole right now, like picking up decoys or something. So we're waiting there, and they come pulling up, and Renard and them, they're out on the road, and I think they were hunting Oklahoma. So they were driving, in, and we're kind of just getting settled in and stuff, and we kind of knew what to expect, but we didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Just because, just some small Ohio boys, like they were a big like figure to us.
Oh,
so
for sure.
We're inside, and I remember walking out, and they had this cool little hangout area with a fire pit and stuff, and they just got there, and I was coming out of the lodge, and their filmer, Jason, he was the first one I see, and it's some dude wearing, a jumpsuit with an afro. I was like, what the heck? So I go up to him, and I forget what he said. He's like, what's up, fool, or something, and it was just like instantly one of those like connections.
Sure.
And like seeing Renard and Ricky and then Warren, like we just connected instantly.
Sure.
We're just like sitting there getting to know each other over, a crawfish boil and stuff. But that next morning, then we went out. I mean, the hunting wasn't great just because the birds weren't there, but just being able to sit there next to a tree and just talk to them guys and hear
man.
their stories and how they got started was just cool. So, after the end of that, that 3-day hunt or two-day hunt, whatever it was, like, we were parting our ways, and they're like, "You guys are family now."
Yeah.
So, I stayed in contact with them, and that following year was the first year we went down to Arkansas to meet Taylor and them. We're heading down, and I had Renard's number, so I sent him a text. I said, "Hey, man," I said, "we're heading down to Arkansas this weekend." I said, "I'd love to, catch up and, hunt with you guys."
Yeah.
And he said, "Yeah, for sure." He said, "I'm working right now, or I'll be heading to Arkansas here this weekend." He's like, "I'll get a hold of you." So one night we're at the Rich and Tone, the Flying Duck tap room right next to Max Prairie Wings, and Bernard calls me, and we're like talking and stuff and getting a game plan for the next morning. And like I'd met him, and none of these guys had met him before.
Sure.
So, he's asking how many guys I got, and we're trying to figure out which hole we're gonna go hunt. So we got a game plan to meet at the ramp the next morning, and it's kind of like the same situation with these guys. Everyone just hit it off, like so. Like I was telling them, Daryl Moore, I said he's just a goofball. Like he actually didn't hunt with us in Louisiana because he was actually he works in the medical field, so he had to work that weekend when we were down there. But I was like, he's a goofball. So sure enough, that's when Alex actually got all those cool pictures, and we're sitting in the hole. It's it was funny. We're running back to the hole, and the water level was down, and there's falling down trees and logs going across the river, and they have their Havocs with their gator tails, and Brent has his his 17-foot boat with the 40-horse Yamaha. And,
a little bit different.
Yeah, we're all on the boat, and Taylor, he's with Renard and them, and Renard goes up to this first log, and he's like, can you jump this log? Asking Brent, because Brent's the one driving the boat, and Matt goes, "Yeah, we can jump it," like before Brent can even answer. So, we're going through just hitting logs at 30 miles an hour, just trying to get over them, and then we walk 2 miles back to a hole carrying decoys, and then like an hour later, here comes Daryl. He was having boat problems and stuff, and he comes in, he's cussing up a storm, But, it's just, and fast forward to this year, it's one of those things where we stayed in contact. And,
sure.
they're a group of many connections. They're putting their foot in the door, and, it's just cool being able to, it may not be, much from me saying it, but, it's just cool to, watch them grow from, from when, we first met them to, where they're at now.
Sure. And Matthew and I, we had kind of talked about this a little bit on the phone, too, when we were just kind of setting this all up. And, waterfowl hunting, historically, if you go back to, even cartoons, right, it's always been, an old white man's game. It's just, your grandpa's dad kind of thing, a rich man's kind of sport. And so to see some guys, that are completely different than that mold, or completely break apart that mold, right? It opens a door for a lot more people to get in this industry, or to get into this field or this passion, and it's really cool to see that. And so, you guys being able to hunt with them, they're popular. They're nowhere near a Michael Waddell or these huge figures in the industry, right? But they're getting there for sure. And so it's really cool to see that opening up.
I think that's why they're making such a big impact too. Is just the generation that they're focusing for.
Yes.
I've heard the name tossed around as this generation's called the the Duck Dynasty or the Duck Commander generation, just because once Duck Dynasty came out, as soon as I was I love duck hunting, Matt said with the Drury, the Drury DVDs, I'd have all of them, and I feel a lot of younger generations, they wanted to get into the sport through that. So I think by them, by Renard making music and just kind of the wave that they're going towards, they're just impacting the right.
Yeah, they're definitely not
audience almost.
They're definitely not Phil Robertson.
No,
they're definitely not Phil Robertson.
But they share the same passion.
Oh, but yeah, exactly. And that's the whole kind of the point I'm making is it doesn't matter what walk of life you're coming from. The outdoor industry has a passion for everybody. I'm looking on our team, we got you guys, we have Tarek. It's completely different. It's just really cool to see just how broad this all kind of goes. So. Well, kind of tying in, so those guys are really connected with Sitka.
Shout out to Sika.
Shout out to
One day.
I know I wore my Sika shirt today just for you guys. The only one I own. Luckily I got it
Sika only.
Ever. Well, if you ask Fish, that's all he's wearing. He's got like Sika underwear on,
Yeah.
Sika jeans, Sika boots. I mean,
You should
he's
see
also
my tattoo.
on the small of your back.
Oh, I got to get married first.
Yeah, there you go. There
Shout
you
out to Mal.
go. Shout out, Mal. Could you imagine this podcast if she would have let us in your basement?
Oh, this is gonna be great.
We would probably been done by now. No, I'm just kidding. But I do want to get into the fact, we mentioned that this was slowly transitioning to a lot more younger demographic popularity. Not necessarily it's a young man sport per se, because there's a ton of older guys that do it too. But I feel like with social media and like what you guys are doing with North Marsh, which we haven't even got into yet, we're kind of tailoring. It's in front of more younger people now than it has ever been, and I feel like Sika has positioned themselves in a really good spot by partnering with Renard and those guys too. You know what I mean? So now they're seeing it and people want to wear their product. What I wanted to ask is like, I'm just Jordan. I have a set of Drake waders just because I always knew that Drake was a popular name, and it still is a popular name. But if you're getting into this now, let's look like a Ben who you don't have any. He's shaking his head no. So Ben doesn't have any waterfowl stuff at all. Like, what would you kind of tell someone that wanted to get into this? Because there's a lot to get. I mean, between the calls and the deeks and everything, like there's a lot to get. Like, how would you get started if someone's interested?
I mean, really, like, I think it's one of those things where you just got to go and experience it firsthand before.
Yep.
I mean, because obviously, like, it's, like you said, like, you don't know if your pockets were deep enough for it, but, like, I mean, when I first started, I was wearing my dad's old waders with all my, my deer hunting bibs underneath them and stuff. But,
Sure.
I mean, there's so many different companies and brands out there that have, products. But, like I said, I think it's just one of those things where, like, before you go and spend a bunch of money, like, just go and make sure you want to do it.
That was one thing, and I'm glad you said that too, because one thing that kind of came to mind while you were saying that is, we have like these banquet dinners for DU, right? Ducks Unlimited. Like, I feel like on the whitetail side, the turkey side, the duck side, whatever, like, you can go to these banquet dinners and meet people that are going to be like-minded like you. But Ben shaking his head. So, that's something that you can do really in any sport, but go find that mentor, right? And be that person. I think Emily Conkler may have said that when we were trying to get more women involved in the outdoors, she hunts by herself. Well, she went and met some like-minded females at a banquet dinner, or she went to this Whitetails Unlimited. So maybe it's a connection like that where let's just see if you're even interested in it first, right? Go to an event, introduce yourself, shake hands, meet people. You guys, all these connections that you guys have are just from talking with each other and making friendships. You can do the same thing at a DU event or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we take people every year that don't have any of the gear.
Sure.
And, I mean, we've been doing it long enough now that, we can share gear to get guys out there.
Yeah.
Guys or gals. I think all three of us would agree, not that we're legendary hunters by any means, but I find more joy in taking other people now and trying to get them to see what we're so obsessed with.
Sure.
Like a mallard duck finishing at 10 yards cupped up. I mean, there's nothing more incredible than that.
Yeah.
And you want other people to see that. And that's the addicting part to, look over if you're laying in a field. And, I mean, we took Fisher's dad this year, and Alex was behind the camera. He's got great shots from that hunt. It was pouring down rain. It was one of Fisher's fields. And first light, I mean, our cover wasn't great, but it was so dark that we fooled them pretty good early until the sun came up, and then we were having trouble hiding. But I remember looking over mid-morning and just seeing Fred Nance, like, grinning ear to ear.
Yeah, man.
And that warmed my heart. I mean, because he's the one that got him going. And in that moment, it really wasn't about how many we were going to kill. That was still a great hunt, but Fred doesn't hunt as much as he used to, probably when he was our age. But to see him that jacked up that day, I mean, that's what it's about.
Oh, for sure. Well, and that's a great point too. If you are someone who, like yourself, if you're an older guy be that mentor for people, right? Be open. It's like you said, it's not like whitetails. This isn't an individual sport by any means.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's not, everyone's got their duck spot. They got the holes that they want to protect, but it's nowhere near as secretive as, chasing whitetails. So, just be that guy that takes people out and lets them experience that, and maybe you introduce a new hunter into the game who introduces another hunter, and it continues the sport, for years to come.
It's cool you said that, because actually this year, I'm still pursuing my degree in college, and last semester, a couple of kids in my class, they hunted and stuff, and they didn't really waterfowl hunt. And one of them, waterfowl hunts a little bit, and he's like, hey, we should, if you ever want something to go with sometime. And I was like, yeah, for sure. And there's another kid that, he does some deer hunting and, some upland and small game. I said, dude, come with me sometime.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, I'd love to. He's like, I don't have any of the stuff. I don't have any waders. I said, dude,
yeah.
I said, I have everything. I said, as long as you have a gun and some shells, I said, just come.
Yeah.
So, he'd never shot a duck, and the other buddy, he never shot a wood duck. So it was before class one morning, 11:30 class. I said, I have a pretty good spot. I know we'll probably kill some. So, we went in there, and I had my dog with me, and I'm kind of giving them the lay of the land pretty much. And I said, try to get them right here in the hole, and right at first light, there's ducks flying all over, and my buddy's, pulling up his shoulder his gun. I'm like, oh, just wait. And, sure enough, actually, we had two come in, and he ended up shooting both of them, and he was just jacked.
Oh, I bet.
So then my other buddy ended up getting him his first wood duck, and it was just cool, just to, share that, and then, me, especially with having my camera, and just take pictures of them and stuff.
Yeah.
It was just cool. And then, later that night, my buddy's sending me, pictures like, wow, what about these waders,
Yeah.
I said, pretty much whatever, you're willing to spend to get the gear.
It depends on your budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, your budget. I mean, you can go for super cheap all the way up, super cheap Cabela's waders, all the way up to, $1,000 Sitka waders with lifetime warranty and all that jazz. But
That is a cool thing about Sitka, though. If you're really
Yeah.
into it, they're going to last you forever, because if you rip a hole, they're replacing them.
yep.
It's awesome.
Oh, for sure. So what? I'm interested on the firearm side. What's everyone using? What's your go-to setup in terms of ammo and firearm?
Well, right now I really don't have anything. Actually, it was a couple weeks ago. We were hunting, and I shoot my shotgun. It's a pointer. It's a Turkish gun.
Okay. Is
Actually,
that double barrel or the over-under that you got?
No, that's actually my dad's old Browning Satori.
Okay.
But mine, it's just a 12-gauge semi-automatic.
Okay.
I like shooting Browning shells, the Browning Wicked Wings. I feel like, I shoot a Kicks High Flyer, extended range choke. I feel like just that ammo and that choke I feel like they shoot a really good pattern. Yeah. But, a couple weeks ago we were hunting, actually. My shotgun ended up blowing up or something. But,
scary.
Yeah. But
yeah, I sent it on. We'll see what happens with that. We won't have to get into that. But I sent it on, so we'll see. What about you, Alex?
Previous years I was shooting a Browning Silver with a Carlston Snow Goose choke, extended range. And I started shooting Migra, which is they started mixing the shot size, so it's 2s followed by 4s or 1s followed by 3s. And I found in Arkansas 2 years ago or last year, I really liked. I mean, they pattern real well.
Sure.
They hit really hard. But this year I decided to go with the 20 gauge. So right now I'm shooting a Benelli M2 and 20 gauge. And previously I shot my buddy's Super Black Eagle 3 and 20, went pheasant hunting with him. I only brought my camera. So I just wanted to take pictures, and he's like, dude, just shoot my gun.
Sure.
He's like, I feel bad. So I was like, okay. He took my camera. I grabbed the gun. And I shot 3 pheasants, and I was sold. I mean, the thing's super light.
On the 20 gauge?
Yep. This thing's super light. It's like holding a broomstick.
Yeah.
And
they're becoming a lot more popular here lately, it seems like.
Absolutely. I started shooting mine. I shoot Black Cloud out of it. It's cheaper than 12 gauge, but it's still up there.
Oh,
but first hunt I took it out on, we were hunting one of his brother's river spots, and we jumped some geese, and I dropped 3 Greater Canadas with my 20, and I was sold.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can't beat the light mobility of
No.
it, and it packs a pretty good punch.
What about you, Louis?
Super Black Eagle 3, Benelli.
Yeah.
She's bad. And Optifade Timber. I'm everything Sitka. So
Yeah.
I know.
Shout out Mal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bad gun. And I think it's, I'm not a big gun head, so
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about it. I just know I can kill with it.
Sure.
Is it inertia driven, right? It's not gas.
Right.
Yeah, I
And
think
it's
those are inertia, aren't they?
Super clean. And then I run pretty much all year Kent number 2 fast deals.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with them. Buy them by the case, usually after Christmas sales.
Yeah.
So buying on sale. But
Gotcha.
yeah, never had a problem with any of it.
Well, we have some. Not that you guys can use it in the actual field, but we just released the clay and wing ammo that we have. So we have it officially. I don't know if you guys heard this
Sick.
yet. So we have the officially branded Advanced Outdoors clay and wing ammo. I think I sent you some stuff when we
We're
were
gonna
talking.
need a couple free boxes of those, buddy.
I will. How about this? When we go do when we do the promo video, Andrew on the team, McClure, he's sick of everything too.
Mm-hmm.
You guys can sick a fanboy out. We'll bring you guys down. We'll shoot some clays. We talked about going over to what's that place?
Cardinal.
Cardinal.
Cardinal
Yeah,
Shooting Center?
Cardinal wouldn't be bad. Actually, Justin Ross was just talking about Cardinal. What's Zanesville? Place in Briar Rabbit. Yeah, you guys been to Briar Rabbit?
No.
It's over South Zanesville. It's a pretty cool range too. But heck, we go in somebody's back. You go in my backyard for all I care and shoot some clays out there. I know Ben's brother-in-law's got a clay thrower, so
He's got the automatic.
yeah, the automatic one.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
what we got. One of those too. Well, it's a foot controlled one. But
Foot-
it's cool because we put it up on our hill. We just shoot out over the hill.
Dude,
But
yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Give me your full Sitka kit right now. What's Matthew Lewis running from toe to head?
My go-to setup.
Your go-to
every
set
day.
because you said you had an extra one for me when we were going to go out, so I need to know.
Yeah.
I was
extra.
going to give Ben my Drakes, and I was
He was gonna give me the old.
I only wore them one time,
The
one
crusty
weekend, man.
Drakes.
They've been in the basement. They're good. They probably got spiders in them.
Man, I could talk about this for a while. We could have an episode just about Sitka. I'm a gearhead. I'm obsessed with gear. When
What's
it comes
your 20-degree hunting fishes river property setup look like?
20 degree?
That's just because my wife, it's 21 degrees right now.
Definitely the Sitka Merino base layer for my pant
Sure.
with the gradient pant. What's nice about the gradient pant, it's got the elastic on the bottom of the pant, keeps your foot down, or it keeps the pant down.
Yep.
Um,
Like a suspender for your foot almost. kind
yeah,
of.
so
Yep.
I mean, really, that base layer with the gradient pant, with the wader, deadly combo
Yeah.
from the waist down.
Any
And then
water condition, or just thinking that 20-degree?
any water condition.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, for most conditions, the gradient pant with the wader is suffice.
Is that what you guys are on?
I agree.
I get sweaty.
Absolutely.
I'm older, so I'm over 30. I start getting sweaty when we're walking through that mud.
His circulation's not as good.
Yeah, yeah.
Must all that Busch Light.
From the waist up, I mean, it's the quarter zip tee,
Okay.
and then it's the heavyweight hoodie
Yep.
in either black, brown, timber, or marsh. And then after that, it's the Kelvin Aerolite,
Okay.
and then it's the Dakota vest, or is it the Delta vest? Dakota vest.
Yeah.
And then either the gradient jacket or the duck oven jacket, and then the Delta wading jacket. And then this hat, as you can tell.
Yeah, that hat's
I haven't
been
taken this
rented.
off in years.
He's going to get married with that hat on his
Yeah,
head.
my boss said actually not to wear it. Shout out to Ken. I'm wearing it, buddy. So
That's why we got the camera far away.
Yeah.
It's a wax hat made by
Yeah.
Louie.
A
That's
lot of
what
people
those-
think it's a wax hat.
It was
Yeah.
funny. We were down in Arkansas and Renard. He's like, dude, I didn't know Sitka made waxed hats. And Matt's like, they don't. He's like, have you ever heard of what did you say, sweat and something?
Sweat equity.
Sweat equity. That's what it was.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What about you, Fish? You echo a lot of that.
Pretty much. I mean, just gradient pants. Like when it gets really, really cold, and I know I'm gonna be staying in water, I'll my gradient cold weather bibs.
Sure.
Underneath my waders, and then
What would be the equivalent to those in like the whitetail world for me? Is that kind of getting towards the Stratus?
probably the Stratus.
He's yelling Stratus. Yeah, okay.
And then underneath those, if it gets real cold, I wear my heavyweight bottoms, and then it's a long sleeve T-shirt with
Yep.
the midweight zip, and then the heavyweight or grinder hoodie.
Have you checked out
with
that ambient hoodie yet? You guys
I've-
got,
I have
wore mine
not
today.
actually.
what's
I'm
up?
wanting to get one of the hoodies.
I wore my ambient
Yeah.
jacket
but,
today.
Did you?
Mhm.
We got them on sale right now. Just saying.
I bought it
I
here.
think they're like 60% off.
Yeah, Courtney wants one, so
I know. Yeah, we almost got her that jacket. We'll see what happens with that. But
that's what she's always, dogging on me, like, oh, you don't need any more second gear. I'm like, and then we're in here one day, and where I take her by the rack, and she's
Yeah.
like, oh, I like this. So
the logo was crooked on it.
Yeah.
So I might.
Oh, that's right. I
That was
forgot
the
about
one. The
that.
logo was
Yeah.
crooked. Yeah, it was like way, way, way crooked. And
Mhm.
Ed was gonna see if they'll give it to me for Field Destroy. But if they do, I might give it to my wife. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. She's joked about it, but
but yeah, so I
Have you-
mean, after a heavyweight hoodie or grinder hoodie, it's Kelvin with
yeah,
probably my grindstone vest.
Okay.
But I mean, kind of they're just layering,
yeah,
because
that's all about.
that's all about, especially moving moisture.
Mhm.
So, if we have a far walk or something, I'll, dress
Yeah.
pretty light and then keep a Kelvin in my bag
Sure.
so.
No one's giving me shit for wearing First Light yet.
Y'all wear gloves when you're hiking in or anything? Do you have like hand warmers or anything like
Yeah.
that, or you just rock it no gloves?
No. I mean, I'm pretty just because we're, building up so much, sweat and body
Yeah.
temperature.
Right.
Where,
Mm-hmm.
Have you messed with those Bama socks yet? We talked to Troy at Lacrosse, so Lacrosse makes the boots for the Sika waders, and they're Bama. I got some from Amazon. They're like $15 or something like that. But basically, it looks like a moving blanket. If you think of like the blue pillowing of a moving blanket, and it wicks all moisture from your feet. It's supposed to be for waterfowl guys, duck guys.
that's what my
And it keeps because you're sweating up there. There's no air movement in your feet at all down that low, and so
What do you say? Light wool socks.
like
and
yeah,
those-
that's what I did. I
Yeah.
tried them one day. It just wasn't really cold enough for me to get a good idea.
Mhm.
Of course, I don't have to walk too far to the stand, but I did a lightweight wool. Actually, the Lacrosse socks that we have here, the lightweight wool ones, are like a darn tough sock or something like that with this Bama. And you could tell it was definitely wet. Like it's supposed to pull all that moisture away from your toes. Because as you guys know, man, your toes are, especially when you're standing in freezing water, your toes are cold, man. You're done.
Yeah.
actually, funny you say that. My buddies in Columbus. It was like the last hunt we had. We're sitting there getting ready to head out. My buddy Nick starts taking baby powder, like a baby powder
Yep.
spray, and spraying it on his feet. And I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, helps keep the moisture out.
Yeah.
So, and then they also said something about the socks. They
Yeah.
were all, wanting to get some or something. But
Yeah. Taylor, who was on our pro staff team, Taylor Honert, he, again, another big Sika guy. He was actually the first person. We went hunting one day. He was like putting these on. I'm like, dude, what the hell are those? I was like, it looks like a slipper like people wear for like, there's like stocking, like when you stock
Mhm.
in or like do like a Western hunt stock.
Mhm.
It looks like that. And it's just like a little slip on little booty on his foot. Or like, like your brother does, home renovations and stuff. Those little booties that you put on so you're not getting someone's
Yep.
house dirty.
Yep.
It looks just like that.
Have to check them out.
What do you got, Alex? What are you running?
Basically the same thing. Heavyweight bottoms with a gradient pant with my waders. And then usually on top I wear my heavyweight hoodie.
Yeah.
In dirt. And then if it's, you said 20, I'm probably wearing my ambient jacket with my my Kelvin with my Dakota vest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I don't know why I hate toboggans. I can never wear one.
Yeah, no. Well, it doesn't look as good in pictures, man.
It doesn't.
Especially when you got a wax hat.
Homemade wax hat.
Homemade wax hat. And then you can't forget you got to wear the face black too. I mean, that's like a requirement, right?
We used to a lot.
Yeah.
We kind of stopped doing that.
You don't want looking
don't
like the Hollywood Hunter and
Yeah.
doing the.
Yeah, the streaks down the face. We used to.
Oh, I bet. Well, cool, man. I don't know how long we been going. A good while. That's almost.
If you look there. Yeah.
Let's look here. We're about hour 15. So,
Yeah.
we'll get all these guys out here. If you want to pass over Michael, hello, Matthew. You want to pass over to Matthew? One thing we didn't talk about, and I want them to hit on real fast before we get out of here, is that you guys are starting North Marsh. It's kind of like a collective, which is obviously if you go to our Instagram pages or Facebook pages, you're seeing basically all the waterfowl content through Vance Outdoors is running from these three guys right here in front of me. If you can, real fast, I know you guys were kind of picking up the North Marsh thing. Matthew, if you want to start, like what was the idea behind, or if you want to pass it to Fish, what was the idea behind actually putting like an official name to this?
I don't know. I think we spend, 40 out of the 60 days a year duck hunting together. And I think the three of us thought, if we could put a name behind it, let's name the group.
Yeah.
Anymore, we were talking earlier about, kind of this generation and just how driven, YouTube and TikTok and all that
Sure.
is. I think we just wanted to be able to share, the experiences we're having in the outdoors.
And one collective spot.
Yeah. And we all have access to post on it. And it's just it's a cool place for us to kind of go back to. And, right now we just have an Instagram page. We do have a Facebook page, but it's just a great spot for us to store our memories. I mean, hopefully 20 years from now, we're showing our kids these same pictures. And if it turns into something great, if it doesn't,
Whatever.
we're still going to be calling it North Marsh.
Yeah. What was the idea behind the word North Marsh?
We spent months trying to figure it out.
Yes, I mean, we're trying to figure out something, catchy and stuff.
Sure.
But
It is.
we had a name that, we somewhat all kind of liked. And, I was just thinking one day, it's like when you're not thinking about it, you're like, oh, it's probably easy to come up with a name for something. But, like, when you're really trying to, like, think of, like, a name, you're like, oh, that's stupid, not like that. And there's actually one day I was just thinking there's a really good property that we used to hunt that probably one of our best hunts that we've ever had. And it's a marsh up north.
Sure.
And that's what we always refer to it as, is the marsh up north.
Yeah.
And, we used to have some really killer hunts out of there. And, one day I was like, marsh up north. I was like, North Marsh.
Yeah.
So I called him one night and I said, dude, did you see North Marsh? I said, did you see their new post on Instagram? He's like, North Marsh? He's like, no. He's like, I don't even know if I follow him. And I was like, you don't? I was like, so that's going to be the name of our company. He's like, that's sick.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, I mean, it kind of just stuck, and it was just cool because that's kind of like where our foundation was set, just seeing, one of our better duck hunts.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to have something to refer to back as like where we all started.
That's awesome. And it's cool too that if we even tie back to the fact that you learned your photography skills from Alex, because Alex may be God knows where with what he's got going on in the Air Force, and then your styling is similar. Like there's not, I mean, it's very consistent on like what you guys are posting through there and stuff too, which is really cool. I mean, consistency is key. So
Right, yeah, both of our styles are very similar. And I like to go back to that. Fisher basically taught me everything I know about waterfowl hunting.
yeah,
And to give photography to him is, it's kind of cool to me to know that I learned a lot from him and he's learned a lot from me.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Oh,
That's
for sure.
No, me and him are both trying to teach Matt.
You got a long way to go, buddy.
No.
He'll teach you how to lay.
He's got it.
My iPhone's getting some really nice pics.
There you go.
Yep.
It's crazy to just, what's crazy is when you look at their photos, the clarity, I mean, it looks better. The photo they take looks better than, real life.
Yeah.
I mean, the clarity is unreal. I mean, the camera picks up stuff the eye doesn't pick up.
Oh, 100%. And then the best part about being a photographer is that you start to look at the world in the way that your camera sees it.
Yeah, it's unreal. And, they both have similar styles, but, if they were both to send me 15 photos randomly, I'd be able to pick up Alex's and I'd be able to pick up Fisher's. Sure. Fisher's got his own editing style. Alex's are unreal clear. Some of the clearest photos I've ever seen. Like there's a zit on my cheek right now that if he was taking a picture,
you'd see it.
Yeah. That's why we have Photoshop.
Yeah. Hey man, thank God for Photoshop. No joke. Well, tying all this in, man, where can everyone find you? Matthew, you got the mic right now. If someone wants to look you guys up individually as well as on North Marsh, go ahead and shout out all your Instagram stuff as Fish pulls his up to make sure he says it right.
Yeah.
Mine's Louis Matthew, LEWYMATTHEW. And then North Marsh.
The North Marsh on the old Instagram.
North Marsh _
Underscore at the end there.
Yep.
Go ahead, Fish. What about you?
Mine's just, Fisher period Nance 14.
Fisher.
So Fischer.
I was going to say you want to spell that out for sure. And
a lot of people get that confused.
Oh, 100%. What about you, Alex?
I'm just Alex_Lupton.
Alex_Lupton. Lupton.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
What about you guys?
It's in the show notes. You can find us at Vance Outdoors Inc. Right? INC. Hell, I see it every day and I don't even think about it. And then of course I have the hardest last name in the entire world to spell. I think at Untenaher, UNTERNAHER. And then Ben doesn't have the mic right now, but it's at Ben BEN_J. Ben Jammin. Ben Jammin, baby. Well, boys, thanks so much. Again, thanks for taking the time to come over to the store. This Bentley has been probably literally the most comfortable podcast ever. Poor Ben, he had to sit in the.
We need to move these into the studio.
Dude, no joke. Yeah, Ben says we need to move these into the studio. They come check it out. If you're in the market for a boat, I mean, we're getting into that season right now. If you're in the market for a boat, we have a good selection, man. I'm still looking at you guys, at least 10, 12 boats right here right now. So. And we're building that new facility right across the way here, right behind us. And so definitely come check it out. I know Matthew got hooked up this year with a new motor, Mercury dealer, and all that good stuff. So
Some new kayaks coming in too.
yeah, we'll have some new kayaks coming in too. So we actually have some duck kayaks too. I don't know if you guys have seen those yet on the beaver tail stuff.
It's on my wish list.
Yeah, we got them over there. So awesome, boys. Well, again, thank you for coming on, and we look forward to continuing to build the relationship not only in between North Marsh and you guys and Vance Outdoors, but just us guys as friends.
Yeah,
so
Absolutely.
Yeah,
awesome.
we appreciate you guys, taking the time and having us on here and just being able to share our experience. So I know it's been a long time coming, trying to figure out dates for it, with our crazy hunting schedules, but from the bottom of our hearts, we appreciate it.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for sharing our stuff too. It was a lot.
You're welcome, boys. Awesome. See you guys. All right, everyone, that is all we have for you today. We hope you enjoyed that conversation with our boys from North Marsh. We don't do a lot of waterfowl talk, so it was really fun to have the guys on and learn more about the sport and the camaraderie that they've built through it. As always, we appreciate you listening, and don't forget to leave us a rating or review if you can. And until next time, enjoy the pursuit.